Good morning, Kek Frog Gigger Shindo here. Now, many of you may be tired of me talking about these Kek folks, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. So, if you're not interested in this video, please move on. I understand. I completely and totally understand. But I am doing something here. I am doing something. You see, I know what occult practices look like. And I have actually discussed these Kek folk with someone who is a master chaos magician. Someone who's been doing it for years and years and years, and who knows exactly what chaos magic looks like. That is what they are practicing. Unfortunately for them, these young, foolish children who believe themselves to be men and who aren't, and who never will be, they have released an energy, some kind of force that they don't know what to do with. Fortunately for me and people like me, and I will not mention these people, although they are YouTubers as well. Fortunately for us, we know exactly what it is that you have, and we'll just take that from you. And that's what I'm doing with these videos. That is what I'm doing, because it's not that difficult once you are aware of how to do it to become a vampire for this energy. I am so pleased that I stumbled across you Kek folks, and I am thrilled to death when you keep coming at me and telling me, I hadn't heard someone call someone else retarded since I was in like 5th grade, until I came to the wonder of YouTube and the wonder of you trolls. Kids, come up with something new. Come up with something different. Are you really that one-dimensional that the only insults you know is, you're a fag, you're retarded? Well, I guess so. We're talking about soulless beings, folks. You have to earn a soul on this planet, and you haven't, you Kek cult folks, and you won't. Now, I'm going to talk about an article this morning, and this may stretch for several minutes. So again, those of you who aren't at all interested in this, I completely understand. But I'll tell you this. If it doesn't disturb you that there are people out there, I don't care if they're worshiping Kek, because Kek is nothing. But if it doesn't disturb you that there are people out there who are literally worshiping Donald Trump, if that doesn't disturb you, I'll tell you, there's something not clicking in your brain. Something is not quite, the rotation of that little wheel in your brain has been stopped up somehow. Because the fact that we have a man coming in who's going to be the most powerful man in the world, probably the most powerful president, most definitely a man who's going to take that power unto himself the way Abraham Lincoln did, and that's an entirely different subject. But a man of that power being worshipped, being literally worshipped by other human beings, if that does not disturb you, it really, really should. Now, today, I'm going to be reading this article from one of these Kek cult leaders. He has been quoted by the New York Times. This guy who wrote this article Lawrence Murray, and I will put your name in my tags down here, seeing if I can get you the man himself. These people, these KEK folks, have huge egos, and for no good reason, folks. They don't do anything. But I found an article that this guy wrote, and I tell you, when you read this article, you know these people, these KEK folks, it's not some kind of a joke to them. Even though I know I'll get loads and loads of you on here calling me retarded. So original, by the way. Telling me, you don't know what you're talking about. Man, why are you getting all pissy and going all ape shit over nothing? It's not nothing, folks. It's not nothing. When you have people worshiping Donald Trump, and when those people are so instrumental in the campaign that the other day when Donald Trump was doing his victory tour, thank you tour, I'm not sure I think it was when he was in Michigan. Anyway, it was a couple days ago. A few days ago, a few of the tours ago, one of the tour stops, there was a man standing, a boy, standing in front of Donald Trump, right in front of the lectern with Pepe the Frog on his billboard. So, folks, yeah, this isn't just a joke. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse for them, mostly. And this is the beauty of seeing something like this, recognizing the energy, and having a cult background, and then going to someone who you consider really a mentor when it comes to chaos magic, and showing him the same things that you saw, and him saying, wow, these people have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what power they've released, and we need to utilize it. Folks, I've been in this game for a long time, and you kids, I've been doing this before you were born. So trust me when I tell you, you don't know what you got, and we're about to take it from you. All right. Here is an article by this man, Lawrence Murray. Esoteric Kekism, or KEK as a Bodhisattva of racial enlightenment. This is something I can comment on because I know exactly what a Bodhisattva is, and of course, Mr. Murray, you have no clue what a Bodhisattva is. Here's a fine picture of Adolf Hitler sitting behind, I don't know who that's supposed to be. I guess that's supposed to be a Bodhisattva. There's the Buddha on the left. Folks, you're trying to justify what you do. You're not Buddhist. You're nothing close to Buddhist. I am a Buddhist. I've been one for years. You're not Buddhist. Savitri Devi Mukherjee, born Maximine Julia Portaz in France, was a National Socialist writer and activist who lived in India during World War II and took a deep interest in Hinduism as the one extant example of Aryan polytheism. After the war, she went on a, quote, pilgrimage through Europe to sites associated with National Socialism and published her magnum opus, The Lightning and the Sun, 1958, a foundational text of esoteric Hitlerism. Esoteric Nazism, Lawrence. Esoteric Nazism. A foundational text of esoteric Hitlerism, a book presents a syncretic worldview combining National Socialism anti-humanism, vegetarianism, a Nietzschean rejection of Christianity, both religious anti-Judaism and racial anti-Semitism, the notions of cyclical time found in the Dharmic religions, and biographies of Mongol warlord Genghis Khan, lightning, the Egyptian pharaoh and sun worshipper Akhenaten, sun, and Adolf Hitler, lightning and sun. Perhaps most famously, the lightning and sun details the prophecy of Kalki, the destroyer, the final incarnation of the Hindu god Vishnu, who will succeed Hitler at the end of the Kali Yuga. This book actually sounds interesting. A brief note on the lightning and sun concept and that of time. Devi describes men in time as lightning. One who embodies lightning does not move against the direction of time and the ongoing decline into a world of violence and suffering, but moves in unison with time, in a way approaching perfection. She describes Genghis Khan, for example, not as a man of grand ideological principles, but one who merely acted in the interest of himself and his kinsmen, and so did with the utmost power and application of that power. Men above time, who embody the sun, are those who transcend the conditions of the Dark Age and hold a truth that is independent of time. Devi considers Akhenaten, the pharaoh of Egypt, who attempted to start a new cult of monotheistic sun worship, to be the most salient example of sun. She sees his sun worship as something that is scientifically and metaphysically accurate, and therefore truth, because the sun is the source of all energy on earth, and therefore life itself. The religious revolution of Akhenaten died within a generation or so after him, as he had not lived long enough to cement it or been forceful enough in doing so. Finally, Devi considers Hitler a man against time, both lightning and sun, and has embraced the violent means of the Dark Age, and held an ideology of truth that was against the Dark Age. She describes him as the penultimate avatar of Vishnu, who will be succeeded by someone equally lightning and sun. Hitler was more sun, according to Devi. Now, going off from the article here a bit, understand what they're saying. They are saying that the next person who is this lightning and sun is Donald Trump. They are worshiping KEK because they believe that KEK, well, he is, according to Egyptian mythology, the god that comes right before, it's the darkest time of the night, right before the dawn. So who do you think the dawn is? They believe the dawn, the sun, folks, the sun, to be Donald Trump. Sun, S-O-N, Son, S-U-N. They believe him to be the Son of God. Do you understand, folks, what I'm saying? Does it strike you as this is some kind of joke? They want you to believe that. But then you all have such huge egos that you put articles out here for anyone to see. So you can see exactly what it is you're about if you have any intellect at all, which most of you don't. Historian and occultist Nicholas Goodrick Clark describes Devi as, quote, Hitler's princess, which is the title of his biography of her, a fairly accurate description of her vocation. She essentially wanted to create a religion out of National Socialism that could be followed during the post-war era to keep the truth and memory, as she saw it, of Hitler alive. This is an extreme challenge on a number of levels, in that it entails 1. Conversion to a new religion, 2. Getting members of the post-war population to embrace National Socialism, which is reflexively opposed by most, and 3. Hitler being an avatar of Vishnu. I have a better idea. And I'm only half joking. No, you're not joking at all. When I find Devi's theological National Socialism intriguing, I think at our stage of the Kali Yuga, which according to her, has been going on through all of recorded history. We need to adopt an approach which is appropriate to the times we live in and the attitudes of our people and culture. That is to say, I think something like Vishnu Hitler is just too esoteric for any kind of mass consumption and is better left to Hermetic thinking. The interest in dharmic religions, however, I think is something worth pursuing for reasons similar to hers. One, they are directly descended from ancient Aryan faiths. Two, they have resisted the encroachment of Abrahamic monotheism. And three, they are present in extant nationalist countries like Japan and India. Buddhism as an Indo-Aryan tradition. Westerners, especially SWPLS, really like the idea of Buddhism, certainly more than the intensely alien Hinduism, which in its purest form is more philosophical than religious and teaches a balance between indulgence and asceticism, that the meaning of life is to escape from the cycle of rebirth by reaching enlightenment. And you ain't going to do that through KEK, folks. Comparisons of Jesus Christ and the Shakyamuni Buddha are legend, as both were charismatic leaders who founded religions of escapism. Thus, for many Westerners, Buddhism does not feel intensely alien, and syncretism is common. Some people have no issue identifying as, quote, Christian Buddhists, for example. The popularity of Buddhism, or Buddhist teachings in the West, is thus a kind of archaeofuturism, a truth from the past asserting itself in the present. Yeah. This guy's trying to sound smart. But I can tell you, Lawrence, you have no grasp of Buddhism at all. If I'm not mistaken, Buddhism was... if I'm not mistaken, well, why don't you look it up? If I'm not mistaken, Buddhism first broke into modern mainstream Western society in the 1960s with the hippie movement. No, it didn't, Lawrence. Buddhism first broke into U.S. society in the 50s in the beatnik generation that came before the hippies. Look up Jack Kerouac, Dharma Bums. Look it up, Lawrence. Okay. With the hippie movement, though most of these people deeply misunderstood it as much as they did everything else, the enduring popularity of Buddhism among Westerners, best observed through the proliferation of yoga, meditation, and various forms of counter-signaling against consumerist norms, is interesting, as it comes at a time when materialism has reached deeply disgusting and alien levels. Well, I will agree with you on that one. And when strict obedience to monolithic religious texts and customs is waning, though still dominant. Buddhism thus becomes a natural fit for many atomized people in our society owing to its radical departure from the norm and the message of the self-enlightenment. Again, though, most Westerners have completely superficial understanding of Buddhism. One so bastardized, it might as well be considered an offshoot set of beliefs centered on being vaguely Marxist and anti-tradition rather than committed to enlightenment. Let me tell you, if you're actually interested in Buddhism, that Zen Buddhism is the closest to what it originally was here in the West. As a matter of fact, there are more Zen Buddhists here in the United States than there are in Japan now, because they've become extremely materialistic. I am a Zen Buddhist. I've been one for years. 10 years. I think elements of Buddhism and its heritage, when correctly understood, could be repurposed in ways pertinent to our cause. Pertinent to our cause. This is to other KEK cultists. It's just a joke, though, folks. And fashioned into something appealing. Siddhartha Gautama, the founder of Buddhism, was a member of the Kshatriya caste, warrior aristocracy, born in the northeast of late Vedic India. He lived in the kingdom of Magadha, which was an ancient Indo-Aryan state located near what is now Nepal. Buddha is described as having blue eyes and beautiful complexion, which to this day in the East, even before the time of modern European colonialism, means fair and light skin. The physical appearance of the Buddha indicates he must have had Aryan ancestry even centuries after the ancient migration into India. This is significant to them, folks. Thus, Buddhism has its roots in our distant pan-racial past, albeit non-European one. Savitri Devi considered the Buddha to be a man above time, rather than a man in time or a man against time, as he had a conception of the world opposed to the Kali Yuga, but was not willing to use the methods of the Dark Ages to achieve it. Overview of Buddhist philosophy and cosmology. An extremely basic overview of Buddhist beliefs is necessary at this point. I will not attempt to detail the various sects, Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, Tibetan, Zen, but provide general concepts shared by them or most of them. If Buddhists of one sect believe something Buddhists of another sect reject, one can still say Buddhists believe it. From the top, Buddha taught that there are three kinds of suffering in earthly life: suffering caused by pain, suffering caused by change, suffering caused by conditions. More famous are the Four Noble Truths he taught. Reality is suffering, the three sufferings of pain, change, and condition. Cause of suffering, having the false attitude towards realities such as desire or ignorance. End of suffering, awaken to the truth. Path of ending suffering, the middle way, or the more detailed eightfold path of right view, intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. Some elaboration on ending suffering and the path to ending suffering is necessary. Nirvana is the end of suffering brought about by awakening to the truths of non-duality, emptiness, and non-self, among others too varied or localized to fairly cover from a religion over 2,000 years old and spread across all of Asia. Okay. Let me finish the paragraph. Nirvana means escape from samsara, the cycle of death and rebirth. The middle way, or non-duality, is an understanding of cosmic order that relies on balance between extremes, hedonism and aestheticism, self-indulgence and self-deprivation. Emptiness is the understanding that there is nothing intrinsic to existence of anything non-self. More accurately, a kind of interdependence is the understanding that you have no permanent self. Well, he has successfully not really discussed the essence of what Buddhism is and how to free yourself from this suffering of this world. The Buddha taught that to free yourself from suffering, you must first free yourself from desire. Desires achieved increase thirst like salt water. You have a group of people, young people, who are just full of desire. And the fact that you have at your fingertips the ability to look at pictures of things that I couldn't even imagine at your age, has totally warped your perception and your desires. You KEK folks. Many of you young people, but especially you KEK folks. I feel that it's a very unfortunate place to be in. I wouldn't want to be in there. I wouldn't want to be a teenager or a young adult at this stage of human history. And the fact that you have all those desires fulfilled to some extent, not physically, but to some extent, by going online, is making you less and less capable of any kind of social interaction that is anything close to human. So, I mean, understand this. These folks who are involved in this KEK, this cult of KEK, they have devolved to something that is subhuman. They have no souls. They have no ability to think of things from an emotional perspective that those of us in older generations can, because we had to deal with things emotionally, that we had to aggressively go after the things that we wanted, or the people that we wanted in our life, and not just sit back behind a computer screen or a tablet or a smartphone. So I feel a bit sorry for you, but considering that when I simply put up a video that accurately describes what KEK is all about, which my first video I did this, and the attack that I got from you, because understand that people who actually have some wisdom, who actually have lived life, when you do that, it makes them think, why are they attacking me? There must be something to what I'm saying. It doesn't do the opposite. Okay? I don't know how in the world you children are ever going to grow up as long as you're sitting behind that computer screen. You have to get out there. You have to talk to girls. You have to live your life. In other words, one can strive to the end of their suffering through changing their thoughts and deeds in a lifetime to align with the Buddhist teachings. This may lead to nirvana, the complete escape from suffering, or reincarnation into a new life which is closer to that nirvana. Okay, yeah, sort of, but again, he's not saying how it is. It's simple to understand. It's very difficult to do. But the Buddha is saying to free yourself from attachment and desire. Attachment and desire. Not desire to eat when you're hungry. That makes sense. But desire to do things that are contrary to the development of your soul. One area in which a lot of popular Western conceptions of Buddhism go horribly wrong is understanding the end of suffering as meaning a state of comfort. But this is really just an extension of our false obsession with comfort and convenience as the great things in life. Now, this I agree with. So these Buddhist enthusiasts take the religion as a means of becoming comfortable by meditating or spending less money on consumer goods, and by using Buddhist teachings as a justification. If one had understood the non-duality and the impermanence, they would know the opposite of suffering isn't merely comfort, or moreover, they would know comfort is a temporary state, which will be succeeded by the pain of not being comfortable. In fact, being too attached to the idea of comfort would be disastrous detour for the path of nirvana and could leave one worse off. I completely agree with that one. In Buddhist cosmology, there are 6 major realms of life, most of which are located at Jambudvida, the great world continent of humanity and other animals. Achieving nirvana is most possible for mankind because they already exist in a kind of balance between heaven and hell realms. A human could become liberated in one lifetime, or move down or up in the cosmic order. Downward, one could be reborn into a lower station or caste, racial or class, or as an animal, an evil spirit, or in hell. Moving upwards, one might become higher caste, or a god and a demigod in the holy mountains, or achieve nirvana and become totally liberated from the death rebirth cycle. The only way you could go up in this cosmology is that you have to lose yourself, become less egocentric. You must lose who you are in order to know who exactly you truly are. And that comes through meditation, folks. Meditation. And I guarantee you, nobody in this cult group meditates. One condition of rebirth are contingent upon their karma, which means action in Sanskrit, but is actually refers to a broader cause and effect system. Based on one's actions of body, speech, and mind or intention, he accumulates good or bad karma. No such thing as good or bad karma. Your karma is in balance or your karma is out of balance. In addition to karma carried over from unknown past lives, karma is generated constantly through one's life and determines lifespan, quality of life, and events in life. This doesn't mean that generating good karma, no such thing as good karma, is a ticket to a better life across the board, as karma from past lives can still have an impact. Dying with bad karma, no such thing as bad karma, leads to a regressive reincarnation, while good karma leads to a progressive reincarnation, or should, unless bad deeds of past lives were bad enough to cancel out any good of the current life. The Buddha taught balance. Okay, it's not good or bad. Okay, so there's no good or bad when it comes to karma. Your karma has to be balanced. You know when your karma is balanced. My karma is balanced. It's as balanced as it's ever been in my life. I know what balanced karma feels like. If you're a Buddhist and you practice Buddhism daily, as I do, you know good karma, what he's calling good karma, but bad karma. It's balanced karma. It's balanced karma. There's no bad karma. There's no good karma. And the essence of getting released from this world in reincarnation comes from when you release all your ties to this world. Therefore, you wouldn't be at all concerned about this presidential election. You get it? The implication of karmic world as opposed to the world of anthropomorphic gods are massive and too much to deal with here. But suffice to say, a world in which our stations are given to us by the choices of our past, in the broad sense, rather than from top-down source of authority, seems to me an archo-Darwinian conception of cosmic order and karmic reincarnation, while at first a strange notion to Western man, is not actually the unthinkable, either given how Semitic religions, followed by most of mankind, such as Christianity, believe in bodily resurrection of the faithful to live in communion with the Creator God, and among some sects, damnation in a hell realm as punishment for earthly sins. In some sects? That certainly bears a strong similarity to Buddhism, and thinking Darwinianly, I don't believe that's a word. Are we not reincarnated in our descendants who will carry expressions of at least some of our genetic material for all our lives, just as we carry that of our ancestors? Reincarnation is thus more real than resurrection from this perspective. Lastly, there are some practical issues concerning with achieving nirvana. Is the teaching of the Buddha, or Dharma, which leads to awakening from samsara, the death rebirth cycle. Dharma is another Sanskrit word, but there is no single rendering in English. Cosmic law and order is one possible interpretation, and sometimes the expression Buddha Dharma is used for clarity. Now, of course, the Buddha no longer exists in a way we can learn from him personally, which means the Buddha Dharma must be conveyed some other way. This is where the concept of the Bodhisattva comes in, often understood to be a Buddhist analogy of the Christian saint. This is partially true if one limits their category of Christian saints to the evangelicist, such as St. John or St. Patrick. A Bodhisattva is a great teacher who is yet to reach enlightenment. Wrong. and teaches others the Dharma necessary to liberate themselves. Apya, or quote, skillful means, refers to the liberative technique used by Bodhisattvas so that his students can understand the Dharma. A Bodhisattva is someone who has reached enlightenment, but has foregone going into nirvana after death so that they can continue to bring others to enlightenment. Because of karmic differences between all living beings as a result of their accumulated karma over all lifetimes, there is no single way to perfectly teach the Dharma so that it is comprehended and leads to awakening. A Bodhisattva needs a deep understanding of karma in order to teach others the Dharma so that they may understand it based on their own circumstances. Recalling the Christian evangelical saints, some are believed to have used miracles to teach the gospel, the good news. Others, such as St. Patrick, had what Buddhists would call apya, considering the shamrock used to explain the triune God to illiterate peasants so they might, quote, be saved in Jesus Christ. What was that not a skillful means of conversion? To this day, the shamrock remains a symbol of Christianity in Ireland almost 2,000 years later. Much of Buddhism and other Dharmic religions is very fanciful and miraculous sounding to the postmodern ear, and so we cannot in good faith take most of it as anything more than the allegorical of some eternal truth being expressed in a particular way shaped by space, time, and society it flows from. Again, Lawrence, you're trying to sound smart. Okay, there's no allegory here. The Buddhists don't use, they do use allegorical stories, they do, but that's not the essence of Buddhism. The essence of Buddhism and the essence of Gnosticism is the same, and that is to truly know yourself. And that's what the Buddha was trying to teach. And the best way of doing that is meditation. Meditation, meditation, meditation. But my intentions above in providing this survey of Buddhism were not to convince you of the truth of all Buddhism or that you should adopt it. Rather, I sought to explain the basic concepts as I understand them so that you might understand them or my understanding of them. Now, folks, here's where he starts talking about KEK as a bodhisattva. Yes, KEK as a bodhisattva. Skillful means as skillful memes. I think the concept of skillful means and teaching others so that they might achieve enlightenment are very important. Really? Have you achieved enlightenment? And that Buddhism frames them in a way that can deeply resonate with people. For those of us involved in white nationalism, in the alt-right, okay, folks, white nationalism and the alt-right, these are enlightened folks. For those of us involved in the white nationalism and the alt-right, the value of importance of the war of ideas, metapolitical warfare, is tantamount. It is necessary to teach people our truths about race, sex, society, culture, and the fate of the West. It is skillfully do with finesse and impact. We embrace whatever methods that we've been furnished with or seek out innovative ways of using them, with the goals of converting people to our cause, the global liberation of our race. The global liberation of our race. You're going to use Buddhism to justify your racism. Wow. The global liberation of our race from suffering under hostile occupation. Really? From Twitter to comments sections to naive reporters to printers and fax machines, we turn no vehicle of communication away. The movement has grown tremendously over the last year, owing in no small part to the presidential campaign of Donald Trump. Look, folks, I know this is a really long video, but stay with me. This stuff is interesting. The movement has grown tremendously over the last year, owing in no small part to the presidential campaign of Donald Trump and the effective use of him as a springboard for our message. His abrasive style, nationalistic fervor, and paternal authoritarian ethos approaches the kind of sovereign power that would be necessary to achieve victory over enemies, which terrifies them. And here's the crux of why they are following Donald Trump right here, the paternal authoritarian ethos. They're looking for daddy. You children who never had a father figure, how sad for you. How sad for you. But you don't go looking for one online. You don't go looking for one who's going to be king, God, Emperor, King. And by the way, to achieve victory over enemies, which terrifies them. If you're a Buddhist, you don't see things like that. Okay, Buddhism believes that we are all part of a oneness. You don't really see enemies, per se. You certainly don't worry about them in this lifetime. You're supposed to be free from these attachments. How in the world you can compare what you're doing to Buddhism is mind-boggling. His Donald Trump's entrancement of the media, through 4D chess has brought us to an ancillary spotlight. What is 4D chess, by the way? The fourth dimension is time. So, I mean, if I'm playing chess on a 2D board, it would still be four-dimensional. 4D chess. Oh boy. His entrancement of the media through 4D chess has brought us ancillary spotlight as highly trafficked media outlets broadcast our unfiltered propaganda into the ether. They assume that they are merely drawing attention to, quote, evil racist Trump supporters, unquote, in an attempt to discredit him. But in practice, they are broadcasting our memes. They cannot bring themselves to suppress the truth, for it shocks them so much after years of dormancy. You're right there. You're right there. The problem is that you don't know with the power what to do with the power that you're unfolding. You're giving it to Donald Trump, you fools, when you could use it. What are you worried about Donald Trump? I shouldn't be telling you that. Here we are, 42 minutes into this? So most of you probably haven't made it this far. But I shouldn't be telling you this. It's not that difficult to tap into a power that you yourself have released. But you don't know how to do it. Because you're ignorant. You don't have the tools that an occultist does. And I'm going to take it from you. And so are others. What has enabled the substantial growth of the alt-right and nationalism are skillful means in the form of crafting quality propaganda ideas and images which can be consumed and forwarded across the screens and minds of the people. I was quoted in the New York Times earlier this year about the glorious liberative technique of our skillful memes. Take it from the alt-right bloggers themselves. The movement is, quote, winning the meme war, unquote. An alt-right blogger calling himself Lawrence Murray wrote last month. I, as humble effort poster, having worked for our cause scarcely a year, had his name and prose ascended to the heights of American journalism, though no more effort than I would have expended any other day on any other content I write. And I was not alone. We have a number of successes reported in the mainline press, which seem to transcend ordinary explanations for a movement that largely does not exist outside of social media and bars. From outlets covering the term alt-right, which has 1,500 results on Google News, from a variety, none last year, and its own Wikipedia page, to getting establishment climbers to identify themselves on social media using the triple parentheses from the taken down coincidence detector plugin for Google Chrome. I have no idea what this shit is. To the Tay Owl controversy, to the spread of the cuck-servative meme, to Donald Trump retweeting the stylized portrait of himself as Pepe the Frog, the memes have prevailed. Yes, Donald Trump has tweeted this picture. Please go to the article and look at the pictures at least. I'll also be putting another article that will describe in detail what these KEK people have, the synchronicities that have come down. And this is when you read this article, this article that I'm referring to right now, not this one that I'm reading. When you read it, you could see quite clearly that what these people are doing is chaos magic. They don't even know it, and they don't even understand what that is. They don't understand what they're doing. But as a chaos magician, I could see it right away. And as I said, I showed it to someone who is a master chaos magician. Been doing it for years and years and years. Knows these things better than just about anyone out there. And he saw it just as clear as day, just like I did. So, this is for real. This is real. Magic is real. And magic simply is taking an emotional state, projecting it out there into the ether, and causing things to happen. And that's exactly what these people did. Look at this other article if you're at all interested in this, and you should be, especially if you're an occultist, and a lot of occultists are on my channel. You should be interested in it. And hey, if you're game, I'll let you know when I'm going to be doing this this magic ceremony, that when I'm going to actually take this energy, so you could do it along with me. Those of you who are occultists and know what you're doing. And that's what things get interesting. When we know that memes have taken on a superhuman will of their own. No, they haven't taken a will of their own. That's just it. Oh. When we know that memes have taken on a superhuman will of their own that simply cannot be controlled. When we have entered the realm of meme magic, chaos magic, not meme magic, that's just something made up. The occult world of metapolitical subversion. That is when we know we have borne witness to an incarnation of an ancient Egyptian frog god of chaos, KEK, who expressed himself in our time to the youth of the nation through meme magic in the avatar of Pepe the Frog. Pepe is an avatar of KEK, the source of meme magic. The story of Pepe the Frog begins in 2005, when he was merely an anthropomorphic frog created by American cartoonist Matt Furry. Pepe appeared in a comic book called The Boys Club, which depicted the life of four neat roommates. He became a popular meme on a certain image board. It's later taken up by normies on a blogging platform associated with the intersectional feminist basket weaving. Because Pepe was humorous, people would reply KEK to images they enjoyed, with KEK itself being a meme-ish way of saying laugh out loud. There derives from the orcish race of World of Warcraft, Pepe, of whom there are endless variations and memes mutations, both common and rare, received tremendous KEKs from people across the world wide web. But many of those who had taken up Pepe as their meme were idolaters and vile normies. Thankfully, the TRVE, the TERV, right, launched a campaign to retake Pepe from the heretical normies and restore him to his chronological birthplace as a chaotic and politically incorrect meme. The big moment came during the Republican primaries when Trump retweeted a Pepe version of himself, which only made our enemies even more flustered. At this time, Pepe had already become known as a, quote, Nazi frog meme, unquote, that Frog Twitter uses the members of the anti-right were using to spread propaganda and troll leftists and Jews. Olivia Newsy from the Daily Beast, whom our goys have trolled on Twitter, wrote an article about a single fucking Trump tweet in May called, quote, How Pepe the Frog Became a Nazi Trump Supporter and Alt-Right Symbol, unquote. She quotes at Jared T.S. Whift at length. Quote, In a sense, we've managed to push white nationalism into a very mainstream position, he said. Quote, Trump's online support has been critical to his success, I believe, and the fact that his biggest and most devoted online supporters are white nationalists. Now we've pushed the Overton window. People have adopted our rhetoric, sometimes without even realizing it. We're setting up for a massive cultural shift, unquote. Many KEKs were had by the alt-right when this article was published, and it was not the only of its kind. Now millions of normies knew that Pepe had not belonged to them, that he was property of the nationalist right and untouchable, as it would destroy their status signaling ability if they associated with them. Pepe has transcended the normies. So how does this become esoteric? Well, KEK is also an ancient Egyptian pagan god. He is one of the 8 primordial deities of the Old Kingdom, a god of darkness representing the unknown and chaos that comes before the light. Moreover, in his male form, he is depicted as a frog or a man with the head of a frog. Now, no one deliberately made the KEK-yielding Pepe into KEK. It just kind of arose out of the ether, which is what makes it so interesting. It is a force of chaos magic that you are bringing to the fore. That is what you've done. If one acknowledges the notion of cyclical time between the non-Semitic religions of the world, one can understand that the nationalist Pepe meme is a return of KEK, the chaos bringer who may well represent Kalki the Destroyer, bringer of the end of the Dark Age. Okay, KEK has nothing to do with chaos. KEK is simply the darkness before the dawn. Okay, there is one goddess, not God, one goddess out there of chaos, and that is Eris. You're worshiping the wrong god. You're worshiping the wrong god. You don't know what you got, and now it's going to be taken away from you. KEK is the deity of chaos meme magic, which is a form of metapolitical prayer and will to power. Okay, well, now that you've got Donald Trump in, what is it now? What is it now? Meta-politics is the process of trying to change the culture and values of a society as opposed to pure political activism. And Pepe is a modern-day icon of KEK, whose shit lords project their wishes unto, and send icons of into the digital ether. Memes are, in their original definition, things or phrases people believe in. So meme magic essentially is the repetition of memes enough to change the memes that other people believe in, or memeing something into reality. The meme becomes a mantra, something chanted to generate karma. You're generating unbalanced karma, not balanced karma. Crazy. The explosive growth of Pepe, his association with the nationalist right, and his estrangement from the normies solidifies his place in the esoteric tradition. The normies had tried to seize upon the avatar of KEK as a source of mindlessness and indifferent entertainment, but KEK reasserted himself as on the side of truth and liberation through the chaos of meme magic. Thus Pepe became inaccessible to the normies, for in rejecting the truth they had rejected KEK and could no longer try to lay claim to a, quote, Nazi frog meme. KEK is the Bodhisattva of Aryan Nirvana. Insane. Absolutely insane. What KEK does for us, should we offer our voices and our keystrokes to him, is bless us with the tempered chaos of meme upaya, skillful memes, to spread our ideas among our people. These ideas were... What are your ideas? White nationalism? These ideas were spread... We spread are the KEK Dharma, the red pill, if you will, and the teachings necessary to understand the world and achieving our rightful independence in it. KEK manifests himself to us in the avatar of Pepe, a Bodhisattva, a great spiritual teacher of the truth and wisdom of national liberation through the application of meme magic. With his meme Apya, KEK teaches us how karma generated by memes as a mantra will help us to achieve liberation. Liberation means an end to Mosaic samsara, the cycle of death and rebirth, which destroyed the Roman Empire, collapsed the Holy Roman Empire into a spiral of sectarian violence from which it never recovered, and devoured the Third Reich. And this cycle continues through the ongoing invasion of Europe by the Third Semitic monotheism, Islam. Now I get it. What they're trying to do is prevent this cycle, but you can't prevent the cycle. We are at the end of an age. That is the reason why you're adopting the meme, the KEK God, of a God right before the dawn, because the new age is the dawn, and we're not going into the new age now. We're right in the midst of the darkest part of the night, and you're worshiping the God of that. You're doing complete contrary of what you say you want, and you don't even see that. That is the definition of insanity. Only by understanding the KEK Dharma can the Goyim realize complete and total Aryan Nirvana, Aryan liberation, which is brought by the creation of the karmic nation. Free of Mosaic samsara, the karmic nation will reject the psychological terrorism of third worldism, ethno-masochism, and xenophobia, and be placed where the glorious deeds and memories of our ancestors can be restored and the will to power reincarnated into our descendants. No more will racial suicide be spoken of as a noble idea in a state governed by those with meme Apya, where the KEK Dharma has achieved the rightful place as the acknowledged truth and cosmic order in a karmic nation. The white people are not under siege, folks. I mean, maybe I would agree that it might be very difficult for a white person to get a job, but we're not under siege. We're not being destroyed. This is an idea of this crazy white nationalism here in this country. The karmic nation, by continuing the Darwinian work of rebirth into higher forms, approaching total perfection and liberation from suffering, will allow us to forge our people into Ubermensch material. That's Ubermensch material. One word. Superman. Uberman. Such will be the path to complete liberation, Aryan Nirvana. It is the KEK of Bodhisattva who can teach our people these truths, if we are willing to listen and to commit ourselves to the generation of meme magic through karmic morality and through the mantra of memes. By refusing to cuck and be rejecting the foul mindsets of our invaders. Of our invaders in this country? And terrorizers who will move the nation away from the suffering under the pains of hostile occupation and closer to its final rebirth. If instead our people cuck and adopt the foul mindsets, they will generate not Aryan karma but further Mosaic samsara. I don't know how to pronounce TRVE, TRV, power of skillful memes is to meme the karmic nation into reality, the process of meme magic, by spreading and repeating the meme mantra it is possible to generate the karmic needs for the rebirth of the nations. Here is what really clued me in that things are moving in my direction here. He's got a picture of the of Plato's cave, which I had just done a video about day before I found this article. The manifestation of karmic nation will be possible only through the birth of men against time, of whom there will be more and more as the KEK Dharma spreads, through the relentless application of skillful means and the righteous adherence to the KEK Dharma, which, as I have said, will generate karma. When our people are filled with the lightning in the sun, when they possess both Meme, Apya, and KEK Dharma, the coming of Aryan Nirvana will be at hand, and the karmic nation shall be unstoppable. Praise KEK, the bringer of chaos and skillful memes. Bless us with the Meme Apya to make the karmic nation a reality. Hail victory and Aryan Nirvana. Praise KEK, the bringer of chaos. You don't know what to do with the chaos. You are not chaos magicians. You have such a huge ego, you won't even look into becoming a chaos magician, because that will require you to actually say, there's something I don't already know. Now, folks, I know this was a long video, and it was worth it for me. It was worth it for me. I'm doing this, quite frankly, for myself. So if you stayed with me for this hour and 2 minutes, then I appreciate it. Those of you who have occult training, contact me, because we've got a power source out here. It's like a battery that's just sitting there waiting for us to take. These people don't even know what device to put the battery in. They have no clue what they've released. But they have released power. They've released it, but they haven't controlled it. That's where those of us who are familiar with the occult, especially chaos magic, can swoop in and take this. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And that's the whole purpose of this video, is to tell them that I'm going to do it. And despite the fact that I tell them that I'm going to do it, they still won't be able to stop it. But that's the way this game is played. That's the way this game is played. You let these people know. So in the end, when everything is said and done, you can say to them, I tried to make you aware of what you were doing. I tried to show you what you were doing was wrong. Folks, we are a human race of people, worried about the white race, worried about the fact that I have less pigmentation in my body than somebody else. A noble race, an Aryan soul, an Aryan spirit, is what Lucy and I have been talking about for some time. It's a noble spiritual race, and it goes across all the different ethnicities of this world. These people, using the words of the Buddha, are corrupting the minds of multiple young men, mostly men, boys, across this country and across the world. And what's going to result in this? They are going to be able to uplift this man, this demigod, Donald Trump, into a position of power and authority like no one ever. But that position will be far from permanent. And when it all comes crumbling down, you KEK folks, remember, years ago, you were warned by me, Shindo. Y'all have a good Saturday.